Yo, what's good, everybody? Today is June the 3rd, 2025. Most gracious and Heavenly Father, we thank you, God, for another opportunity of prayer, God. Thank you, God, for allowing us the gift of life to see yet another day. We ask you, God, that you would bless this broadcast, God. We just ask you, God, that you would bless each other's company, oh God. Thank you, God, for allowing us to gather one more time, oh God. We ask you, God, that you bless our conversation, viewers and their families as well. In Jesus' name we pray, amen. Yo, what's good, everybody? Y'all come on in. Give everybody time to come in the room. It's been a little minute since we've all been together. And, like I said in the pre-show announcement, so much has happened over the course of the since we had the last show. I've been doing some traveling. Got to see some faces I haven't seen in years, so that was a beautiful thing. Got to go home and just get a little change of scenery, which is always good for the soul, so to speak, from time to time. So that was very good and positive. I was glad to have the opportunity to be able to do that. Um, I'll wait for everybody to come in. Though I definitely want to extend um, happy born day to everybody that celebrated over the last couple of weeks. That celebrated a birthday. I want to say happy born day on today to my cousin D1 as well as Shakira. Happy born day, bro. You already know I love you, man. You as well, Shakira. Uh, Pastor Will Nichols. Pastor Will Nichols. Shout out to Pastor Will. Happy born day. Celebrate his birthday on today, as well as Dana Brisbane. Got to see Dana on my trip. So happy born day again, sis. Hope you're enjoying. Well, I see that you're enjoying yourself, but I hope you continue to enjoy yourself and enjoy many more birthdays to come if the Lord should so tarry. Um, I want to say congratulations to all the graduates. I've seen a lot of graduates over the course of the last um, 2 or 3 weeks as well. To my cousin Desiree, um, Maya, my man Aunt Harrison, former guest as well. He graduated over the last couple of weeks. So everybody that's hats off to everybody that's graduating over or coming up on graduation as becoming this graduation season, whether it be from college, whether it be from middle school to high school, and all the high school graduates getting ready to start their college journey. Hats off and prayers for you, all you guys. Um, while we want to talk about the students, I also want to congratulate and salute, give a shout out to all the teachers, all the administrators, all the staff that's a part of our children and education process, their everyday life. So congratulations to everybody that's involved in our school systems, role that you play, whether you work in the cafeteria, whether you're a teacher's assistant, gym teachers, custodians, everybody that's a part of our school system. Hats off to you all guys. I hope you guys enjoy your summer break. Get a well-deserved summer vacation, so to speak, for those that have the luxury of taking a summer vacation. Hope you guys get a chance to relax and just process and know that you guys are making a difference in the world. Even in times when the finances, you might look at your checks in the education field, doesn't always equate. Know that we do. There are people out here like us that do appreciate you and all that you do for our students, and just pushing them forward, seeing their dreams come true as far as the educational standpoint. So hats off to all you guys. Um, and lastly, I want to say condolences to the Williams family. I would encourage everybody to please keep Brother Howard, Pastor Howard Williams, in our prayers. The whole Williams family, Quincy, Cicely, April, Tiffany, Sharon, Bobby, everybody, all the family, um, as they celebrated the life last week of our beloved sister, Apostle Shirley Williams. Um, Condolences and prayers to the family, as well as their church body as well. Let's keep them all lifted in prayer as they going through this time of bereavement. Um, Sorry, y'all. I just got a new notification for something on here. Yeah, so let's keep them all lifted up in prayer. One another. We all been going through, whether it be the loss of a family member, loss of a friend, co-worker. I've known a couple of people over the course of the last weeks that's lost children. Um, so let's keep one another lifted up in prayer in this season. Um, one of the things that I was saying when I have a conversation with different people is over the course of the last week, we were talking about a lot of the different deaths and things that we've been seeing. And the truth of the matter is, the longer that we live, the longer that God allows us to be here, the more death that we are going to see. So it's very important that we be intentional about spending time with the loved ones that we have while we can. Also, letting people know what they exactly mean to you in real time. You know what I mean? No one wants to hear those good words and whatnot at the funeral. I'd rather have my roses while I can still smell them. You know what I mean? Let me know what I mean to you, the impact that I had on your life, if any at all. Um, I was just told over last week at a function that somebody that I've known for over 30 years that I was annoying in high school. I never realized that. So, but any impact that any way that you impact people's lives, let them know that how you rock with them or why you couldn't stand them or why you didn't like them, different things of that nature there. So yeah, let's just be very intentional with that. Um, Shout out to my homeboy. Yo, what's good, Big Nate? Got to get you on here, man. Um, Let me know when you're available. Uh, yeah, man. I got the shout out again to my homeboy Walk Dog. Celebrated his 50th. We had a beautiful time celebrating him. I got to actually see and get a dance from the girl that rejected me in high school to go to the prom. So shout out to her. It was just so good seeing so many faces, familiar faces from back home, people that I hadn't seen in forever. It was a good trip. It was a good trip in the beginning. It started out as a good trip anyway. We all know about it. And I'm waiting to Julian get here before I even get into the Knicks because I don't want to revisit that. But shout out to the Indiana Pacers as well as the Oklahoma City Thunder on making it to the NBA Finals. Hats off to those guys. Nothing but respect for them. Indiana came and they did what they were supposed to do. Yes, I'm a diehard Knicks fan, but I try to tell people all the time, as much as I love sports, I'm before a fan, I'm a realist. So I'm not one of those fans. I'm diehard, but I'm not one of those fans. Oh man, yeah, this is our year to win, and we're gonna do this and all of that. There, nah, that ain't me. I'd rather keep it real. You know what I mean? I have never seen my Knicks win in my lifetime, so I don't know why in God's green earth would I think that it would be any different this particular year here. You know what I'm talking about, Nate, because I know your football team is the Jets. So I know you feel my pain when it comes to me seeing an NBA championship in my lifetime. It may happen. I don't know. I was thinking earlier. It's funny that you were in here too because I was thinking about that earlier. My cousin, he's a Jet fan. Shout out to Bobby. He's a Knicks fan also. I'm like, poor fella. He might not ever see neither one of his teams win a championship in his lifetime. But it'll be interesting to see who win one first, either the New York Knicks or the the New York Jets. Go figure. uh, he said, expect the worst, then be pleasantly surprised. Go Jets and Knicks. That's right. That's the way we got to look at it. Just love the game. Hey, what's good, Sam? Sam said this year's playoff show the super team era is done, in my opinion. Absolutely, and I think there's so many different variables when we talk about sports. To your point, Sam, I agree with you for the most part, but I can't say it enough. And me and you talked about it when you was on the show previously, Sam. For me personally, I just think that right now there's too much money involved when we're talking about legalized gambling, all these different facets that you have to factor in when you're watching these games. I think for a long time now, and I'll go all the way back to the Mike Tyson era. That's when I first started sensing it, but it's definitely prevalent nowadays. It just feels like the integrity of sports are gone. You know what I mean? Because there's so much money involved, and I think we as the purists and the fans of the game, we're the ones that suffer. When you look at NBA players, I tell people all the time, you got an NBA player. Some of these cats are making 9, 15, $10 million a year sitting on the bench. They don't care about. They don't have the same passion for the game as the older generations. And I definitely don't want to sound like the old guy that's hating on the younger generation because it is what it is. It's just a different game. But when you're talking about the rule changes, the money factor, it's like. But I'm thinking to myself like if my whole goal was to change the trajectory of my families and my generations down the line future through making money playing sports. If I'm making $9 million a year sitting on the bench, why do I care whether or not I'm better, I'm greater than Michael Jordan or better than this one here and that there? I don't got the bag. So I just think that it's a lot of different variables. that you got to equate in there, in my opinion. But like you say, I do believe that the area is gone as well. I believe the thing that I hate most about the NBA right now, I just feel like what we're seeing AAU play AAU style basketball in the professional, and I'm not a fan of that. I'm not a fan of that where everybody's going to play with their friends and players are doing what they want to do. And I'm glad to seeing players have some say so to speak. But I think it's kind of getting overboard at this point. Nate said, great team, great chemistry. The Pacers got it. I think they are going to give SGA a run. Yeah, I would like to see that. However, I don't see that really happening. And here's why. I think even though Indiana beat the Knicks, I'm tired of waiting on Drew. I might as well, since we already going there, I can't keep waiting on Julie because I know he's gonna have something to say when he comes up, show up. But this is just my opinion. There's not no sore loose or anything of that nature there. Like I said, hats off to Indiana. I just think that one, when it comes in terms of the Knicks, the main thing was one, I'm not a fan of Tibbs whatsoever. I've never been a fan of Tibbs. I don't think that he's a trash coach. I just don't think he's the coach for me, so to speak. And I don't like his style of basketball. I don't like his style of coaching, just the way he does. So I was definitely excited. There's always a light at the end of the tunnel to see that he got fired today. So hopefully they'll do the right thing and go get Mike Malone or bring. I wouldn't even be mad at them teaming up the Van Gundy brothers, bringing them back home. I was telling a friend earlier, I was listening to a lot of sports radio while I was up top over the weekend. It was some good scenarios. Like, it made me realize, as much as I hate talk radio, just hearing different outtakes in New York and in Jersey, it was like, man, I kind of do miss this because you got so many different opinions and so many insiders that's talking about this, talking about that. But I would love to see the Van Gundy's team up and coach together, as well as, maybe Jeff, if they want to take their knee off his neck, so to speak, if Jeff want to add Mark Jackson to his coaching staff, that'll be a nice way. Even if Mark isn't the head coach, just if Jeff had him on the staff, whatever, just to get back into coaching, whatever. But we don't know how the NBA is going to work with that, being that he's kind of been blacklisted or what have you. Let me see. Sam said the NBA wants a 6-7 game series, so look for some suspect calls. Absolutely, because like I said, back again, it's about the money. I think I read one thing where it was saying it was just from the TV deals alone, they get like $465 million per game. So we're talking about almost $2 billion if it's a sweep. So they definitely don't want to see that from a monetary aspect. But who knows? Who knows? As far as one-on-one basketball, though, just head-to-head, I don't think outside of Indiana market or OKC, nobody really cares about watching this. Your casual fan, they're not going to be watching this unless you're from Indiana, from OKC, or you're actually a basketball purist that just looking for a couple more games to extend until we go through this summer of baseball or what have you. They said W fan, baby, get the app. Absolutely. I'm glad you said that, yeah, because that's one of the ones that I was listening to while I was up there. Yeah. And, I don't always like all those personalities, but I love to hear all the different takes. And it made me miss how we get down when we talk about sports. Up top, we could talk about sports all day. But what I was saying about the Knicks was, because I got to be up there, and my plan was to actually go over to the Garden to watch Game 7 at the Garden. When I got to New York versus Boston, to wrap up this, Game 7 in Boston. And the only reason I didn't go was because I wasn't going to the game. Don't get that twisted. I was going to the Garden to watch the game outside. I wasn't paying. I think I looked at the cheapest on average. The tickets was like $1,200 for Game 7 between Boston and the Knicks. So I definitely wasn't going inside, but I wanted to be in the atmosphere. And the only thing that saved me was it was kind of suspect as far as the weather. It had been raining the previous few days, and then New Jersey Transit, they were on strike. The trains were on strike, and I didn't want to get stuck in New York because I definitely was not driving over there under no circumstances. I had an event to go to on Saturday, so I wasn't going to drive over there. But immediately after Game 7 was over, and me and my friends that I was watching the game with, we talked about, all the money that New York was going. Here you go, finally, Julia, you right on time, so we can get this out the way. We don't need to be revisiting this later on. You right on time, bro. But just the energy in New York was good, Drew. Just the energy in New York itself for that Game 7. Oh my goodness, the state of New York, the state of Connecticut, Rhode Island, Jersey, it made so much money, yo. You went to restaurants, you went to sports bars, you couldn't get in. It was totally pandemonium before they even won. Just the game 7 excitement alone. But you could feel the energy in the air, and I try to explain this to people. I've been to many different arenas. I've been to many different football stadiums, pro stadiums. There is no place in the world, not as a Knicks fan, but there's no place in the world like going to something at Madison Square Garden. I remember as kids when we would go over there to St. Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey Circus. That right there was like, oh my goodness, this is Madison Square Garden. You literally feel something when you're in the building. Like you think about the Frazier and Ali, you think about the John Starks dunk, you think about all this history, the rain, all this stuff that happened in the Garden. You could actually feel the energy when you walk in there. Like, oh my God, is that the corner right there where Willis Reed came running out the tunnel in 1972? Different things, but there's a whole different kind of energy when you're inside the Garden. So I wanted to be a part of that, but I was like, no, I'm glad I didn't because it was so crazy. Now, having said that, and it's not making any excuses, it's just my truth. I think what it was even if you look at the way the Knicks were built, I think that the Knicks were constructed this year right here, and their main focus was to beat Boston. After they beat Boston, they lost their mind. It was like, and I remember posting it last week, and everybody kind of was looking at me sideways, like, oh man, you got to let them enjoy the man. I'm like, yo, you won a game on Saturday, let's celebrate. But come Monday, we won it on Friday. We come Monday, Saturday, Sunday night, Monday morning. I need y'all to see y'all getting y'all heads ready because we got 2 more series to win. Beating Boston was an accomplishment, but it's not the end game goal. And you felt that energy in the city. They were renaming 33rd Avenue, 33rd Street. Nate, you know, Drew. They were renaming the different streets, Josh Hart Boulevard and Cat Williams, and like they were just doing way too much. 11th Avenue down by Heroes, Boulevard of Heroes, Jalen Brunson Way, and all this different kind of stuff. And I'm like, y'all need to like really calm down because you have not won a championship yet just because you beat Boston. And I think that, like I said, they were constructed to beat Boston, so they were happy with that. But there was no way in the world Indiana should have came back and won that game, game 1, and before the series even started. I was telling all the friends that I was watching the game with, I said, we're going to lose that game 1 Wednesday night just because of the energy. Momentum and energy plays a big part when we talking about sports. Drew said, yes, I remember shaking you in hands there as a little man. That's crazy, yo. That's a memory for a lifetime right there, Drew. Marv. Yeah, man, I told you, man, make room for me on the couch, man. I'm here. But yeah, like I said, I just think Indiana wanted it more. The Knicks, they kind of took for granted that once we beat Boston, it's smooth sailing from here. And I don't think that was the right mindset. Again, Tibbs, I'm glad he's gone because I didn't like that style of play. One of the things that I always say, whether you're talking about football or the NBA, it's like you got to remember this, especially when you make it to the playoffs and you have a legitimate chance to make a run. You have to always consider what got you to this point. And what got us to this point was players like Cam Payne coming in, playing his role, doing what he needed to do. Josh Hart, he totally disappointed me in the Eastern Conference Finals because he has all these triple doubles throughout the regular season, but he was not looking to score whatsoever against the Indiana Pacers. No, you gotta once you make it to the playoffs, you have to consistently do the things that got you here. So I don't understand even that from that mindset. First of all, you already run your plays in the ground. We know that from back in his Bulls days. Like I always blame him partially for Derrick Rose's career going the way that it did, because Derrick Rose should have never been in that game. That for those that remember, Derrick Rose should have never been in that game at that point where he got he got hurt that year, his MVP year. But that was Tibbs' coaching style. That's his decision. But how do you go from like a 7 to 5 man rotation during the regular season, winning games with those other people that you're plugging in, playing, to going to a 5-man rotation? Then you want to switch up when it's last minute and try to do something different, bro. It's too late. Just continue to do what got you there. Andy Reid is a perfect example of that. Them first couple of times when Andy Reid had a legitimate chance of winning the Super Bowl in Philadelphia, when he got to Kansas City, it was like Andy would make it to the Super Bowl and he would change his whole game plan up. once he started doing exactly what he did to get him there, he wound up becoming a Super Bowl head coach champion. So I'm a big proponent of that. And like I said, I just don't like Tibbs' style of play. He's known as a defensive coach. I'm like, our defense is sucking. They're getting way too many easy baskets for us to be supposedly a defensive team. It was just so many different things. So again, I'm glad he's gone. We'll see what they do. Just because he's gone now, that doesn't mean that we'll win a championship. But I was talking to my son about it earlier. Said he's a little bit young, too young to remember. But I equated it to, you guys can remember, the Tampa Bay Bucks. As much as I love Tony Dungy, one of my favorite coaches of all time, he just couldn't get Tampa Bay to that next level. You know what I mean? Then next thing you know, John Gruden come in, win the Super Bowl with that same exact team. So I think Tibbs, for all the work that he put in and, what he did for the culture, so to speak, try to get Knicks basketball back relevant. But I think he reached his ceiling, and he took it as far as he could possibly go, especially being so adamant about not changing his style of coaching. So hats off to him. Hope he's successful wherever he goes. I'm just glad to see him gone, So like I said, I would love for us to see us get Mike Malone, who Denver let go. I was saying that before the playoffs even started, though. But as soon as they fired him, I'm like, and that was the one caveat of us not making it to the finals. Because if we had been making it to the finals, it'd have been just like my Giants years ago. Everybody knew that Jim Fossil should be fired, but as soon as the Giants win the Super Bowl, now we stuck with Jim Fossil. Not Jim Fossil, Tom Coughlin. So, just a tricky situation, but shout out to Shea Gilgeous, definitely well deserved on winning MVP. I definitely think that he was deserving. As good as Joker did, SGA was consistently averaging 30 points every game, doing what he does every game. Not to mention that they were the number one seed for the most part of all of last year, as well as this year. So it to me, he was just more consistently great. Whereas we live in a generation now where we only remember what we seen yesterday, and it seemed like it was a close competition between him and Joker based off of the last 2 months that Joker has been doing. But for me, the deciding factor was SGA had been doing what he'd been doing for continuously all season. I think that was the big difference maker for me personally, although I don't have a vote. But SGA with hands down got my vote for the MVP. So hats off to him. And then even with the Knicks and Indiana matchup, like Pascal Siakam, it was like he knows OG. They both played in Toronto together. It's like this is like my little man. Like, you know what I mean? I know how to stop him. And I think OG knew the same thing. Like, I don't stand a chance against him. Like, OG didn't play with the same energy that he normally plays with. It was just a different looking Knicks team after Boston. It was just, I never seen now Jalen Brunson, I will say hats off to Jalen Brunson. Because I know Rodney, I'm surprised he ain't in the comments. He always like, do you like him now? I'm like, I don't like Jalen Brunson's style, but I think Jalen Brunson is a superb player. I just don't like his style of basketball. I believe that his blessing is his curse, and vice versa. I believe that his curse is his blessing. I think Jalen Brunson takes way too many ill-advised and bad shots. It's just that the problem is a high percentage of those shots go in. So if it's going in, why would I stop making it? And Jew, you play ball. I tell you, we was having this argument in the backyard. Like, just because you make a shot doesn't, a bad shot is a bad shot, whether you make it or not. You know what I mean? You could take a bad shot and it go in. Just because it goes in, that does not mean that it was a good shot. No, I don't believe that. Anybody that really knows the game of basketball or that's been a basketball player understands that. As a quarterback, if I made a bad pass and it was a duck and a dude catch it for 40 yards, that doesn't mean that it was a good pass. You know what I mean? Nate said Brunson is too nice, needs a bit of an attitude, toughen up. Yeah, I actually like that about him. I like his swagger, yo. One, he fits the persona of New York, the city. Like he's a good fit for the captain for me. I really like his style of play. He got dog in him. He's no punk whatsoever. He's not going to back down from any challenge. I do like that about him. Which is also back when the first trade happened, I was saying the same thing. I'm like, Cat gonna get us more offense, but I don't think Cat fits the culture of New York Knicks basketball. And that's no discredit for him. Again, I think Cat is a good player as well, but he doesn't embody And even when he was trying to do that and flex him after the 3-point, it's just not natural. That's not naturally him. And I don't want to see people try to be something that they not. I just don't think that he really fits in with the culture. But this is his first year. We'll give him time, see what happens down the road. But yeah, that's my take on the Knicks, man. So again, shout out to Indiana. They did what they were supposed to do. I'm not mad at them whatsoever. But I do think that outside of what you were talking about earlier, Sam, I do think that outside of just the money aspect and the ratings and all this kind of stuff, if that wasn't a factor whatsoever, I think that OKC legitimately could beat them in 5 games, if not one. I mean, if not 4. I could see it definitely a sweep. I think they played twice in the regular season and it wasn't even close. But the Knicks also proved that regular season is totally different. You know what I mean? Cause Cat got too much fungus in his big toes. Now that's just hate right there. You see Charles Barkley on national TV talking about how pretty this man's feet is. I'm like, Charles, what is you doing, man? You can't be talking about how pretty another grown man's feet is on national TV, man. Instead, he stared at him in an interview. I'm like, Charles, yo, you bugging. Charles was wilding on that one. But yeah, I do like that Cat is home. He a Jersey cat. He's not from Essex County. He's not from the real part, what we call the real part of Jersey. He's from down the way, but he a Jersey nonetheless. So it's good that he'll be there, and just to see him in the culture with the Dominican culture in New York and what have you. I think that he has a bright future. I think he's gonna make a good adjustment. I don't think overall I give him a B minus for his first year in New York. I think he adjusted pretty well. He's definitely a skillful player because you got to realize, even though it was the West Coast, he made it to the Conference Finals last year. So last year, previously in the Western Conference Final, this year in the Eastern Conference Final, I think he has a pretty bright future on the upside. Another thing that they were talking about while I was home, as far as the Knicks was going after and this is my last point on the Knicks because I don't want to keep talking about the Knicks all the whole show, but they were talking about the Knicks going after Giannis. And my thing is, back years ago, I would have loved to see Giannis come to New York. I just think at this point, for us to get Giannis, we would have to give up way too much. I think that will deplete our team. And it will remind me of like when Melo came over. If Melo had just waited the free agency to come over to New York, he would have got a chance. I think we would have had a legitimate chance to actually do some damage. But we literally traded half the team away to get Melo in New York early, when all we had to do was wait another 3 months. I see that this same scenario playing out for Giannis. I think that we would have to like pretty much gut our team, and the only two that you would have there is Brunson and Giannis together. But then you got to go out here and find all these journeymen or whatever to plug and play and put in different positions. I'm not sure if I would like that. I like Cat game. He just got to toughen up. When he gets tougher, he's going to be a problem for a lot of people. I totally 1,000% agree with that, Joe. And like I said, I just think that I really believe that that's what it takes. That's no other way to say it. He just has to toughen up. That's all. And stop being, and Charles said it at one of the post games, like, stop committing all them stupid fouls for no reason whatsoever. He has to play smarter and work on becoming a better defensive player. And like you said, just getting a little bit more grit to him. He'll be all right. He's gonna be a problem. He will be a problem. Giannis will clean us out like Melo did. That's my point. The same exact scenario, just 10, 12 years later, 10, 13 years later. So that's the only thing that I wouldn't like about Giannis. Like, if they could pull that off and not have to sell a whole out farm and all that, and get some other pieces in exchange, I'm not really sure who want us on Milwaukee we would want, but it's kind of dicey. And I still go on the record. I don't care what none of y'all say, Knicks fans or basketball fans alike. Mikal Bridges is not worth no 5. He wasn't worth no 5 picks to me. And he had some good games. I won't say great, but he had some good games. He did what we brought him here to do, and he was top notch. He played excellent defense. He got his baskets here and there when it counted, but he still wasn't worth no 5 picks to me. That's a lot of players, especially when you're talking about now possibly going after Giannis, where you would have had more to work with. I didn't see that. I still don't think that was a smart or a good trade for us to go get Mikal. But you live and you learn, and that it is what it is. Um, what else has not happened since then? Okay, so we, of course, we got the Diddy trial that's going on. I'm quite curious to hear about you guys' take on that. There, the first couple of days I was watching it. Once I got home, I kind of chilled a little bit. I had made this post too, because it is open to the public, as far as the press and all that did. And I was like, do y'all want me to go over there and do some, some live coverage from the Marvin Bennett Jr. show over there? And people was like, yeah, why not? But then it got the raining. It got the rain in that Monday. I said, nah, I ain't about to go over there, sit in no rain or possibly can't get in. People was actually out there camping out just to get in the courthouse and different things of that nature there. But what do you guys think of the trial so far? And what's your take? Do you guys think that he's going to do some time behind this? He's going to get off. He's going to be found guilty. How you guys feeling about it? Thought it was pretty interesting while you guys are typing in or giving your answers or whatever have you. And if any of y'all want to come on the screen with me, just let me know. I'll send you the link. Diddler ain't no freak. He's a super freak. That's no question about that. But at the end of the day, that's the real question. We laughing about it, but that's the real question. Is that a crime? Is that really a crime? You know what I mean? They said Diddy is nasty. He was wilding out. He needs some time. Yeah. And this is my thing. Early, with it still being early, we don't know. We got to see how everything plays out. But ever since especially after the first week of trial, because I think first Cassie was on the first 3 days of testimony. Then they brought in last week. They brought in the Punisher guy and Maya, the assistant, and different things of that nature. But from the very first beginning, I'm watching it. I found a few outlets to kind of be like that was like kind of following live, maybe 5 minutes behind time where they were in the courthouse and then run out, type their notes up and send it then go back in and get more information, different things of that nature there. And my whole thing was, especially the way the trial started, it's like, I do believe that he's guilty. I just don't know that he's guilty of what they're charging him with. I don't necessarily agree with and I meant to look that up. Matter of fact, I need to pull that up because I'll be the first to know. I don't know. I want to see exactly what's the definition of racketeering. Says racketeering is a term that broadly describes a pattern of illegal activity for profit, often associated with organized crime. It involves a coordinated effort by multiple people to repeatedly earn money through illegal means like fraud, extortion, bribery, threats, violence, or other illegal activities. In legal terms, racketeering is often prosecuted under the law like the RICO, which is what RICO stands for, Racketeering Influence and Corrupt Organizations Act, which targets organized crime and their influence on legitimate businesses. Okay, so now I see what they. All right, so that right there, I don't want to play the race card, but that right there in itself, that's a problem to me too, because the only time we've ever seen RICO cases outside of Young Thug that just wrapped up last year, most of the time when you see RICO cases, it was always, like they said in the definition, it was always geared toward the mob. So how does Puff get into this? And what it is so for those that don't really know, or don't really keep up with the legal aspect of things, RICO is pretty much like, well, we can't get you for murder. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna throw this blanket charge out there. So all these different categories fall under the same umbrella. That's pretty much the best way to sum up a RICO case. They said DJT going to get him out. They are boys. It was funny to say because I seen a clip the other day where he was talking about how trash Trump is when they was going for the election. I think it was election time 2020, but he reverted. And I also seen Trump where I think he likes me. I would have been when they asked him would he pardon Diddy or whatever the case may be. Don. I don't see how you. As much as people don't like him, I don't see how you could see Donald Trump or listen to him and not laugh. He's like pure comedy to me. Yeah, he's just so arrogant and full of himself. But yeah, that's pretty much what RICO means, like a blanket. Yo, Miss Magnificent is in the building. What's good with you, girl? Now I'm putting you on blast in front of everybody. I'm still waiting to get you on the show with me because it ain't the same without you here. This is a young lady. that I love and respect y'all that's in the comments now. Um, she's well versed in football. She's up on her basketball, but she, unfortunately, she's a diehard Pittsburgh Steelers fan, but she knows her sports. That's why I definitely want to get her to come on here football season and chop it up with us because I tell people all the time, there's nothing like a woman that actually don't just watch football, but actually loves football and understands it. Not talking about look at them kicking a little thingy thing and like you know about 4-3 defenses, all this kind of stuff here. I'm good, happy to see you on. Absolutely, girl. But yeah, I got to get you on football season 8 as soon as possible. We definitely got to talk. Maybe we can do some during the OTAs or what have you, covering different teams or whatnot. Hey, what's good, Ant? Yeah, but I'm so surprised to see you. I'm so you just made my night, girl. Just saying you in the comments made my night. What was I talking about? Oh, the Rico. So yeah, and that's what I say. You know, Mace always says two things can be true at the same time. I believe that Diddy is guilty of something, but I don't know that he's guilty of what it is that they're charging him with. You know, is already been, and that's another thing that bothers me about this whole Rico case because all of this came to light, and they charged him with the Rico case after him and Cassie settled outside of court. So let's just take that there. When she settled outside, when you make a settlement like that there, that's off the table. That's off the table. So I don't understand why they keep talking about even going back to the video, the footage, and all that kind of stuff. Not that they say it didn't happen, but a lot of this stuff, it sounds like it should be inadmissible evidence because none of that has anything to do with Rico. Now, and then that was the other thing. Did they have a backroom conversation with Cassie where they gave her immunity? Because even when she testified, the Punisher guy testified, the guy that was the dancer that they brought in and hired on several different occasions or whatever the case may be, everything that he was saying, everything that she was saying, it was like, yo, okay, Puff was just there. She made the phone call. She was the one that booked the hotel rooms. She was the one that made the flight arrangements for a boy to come into town and what have you. It was like she was the one that was orchestrating everything. So they had to give her some kind of blanket immunity because I don't see she would be an accomplice. You know what I mean? She should be the way the prosecution is presenting this case. She would be a co-defendant in this case unless she has blanket immunity. But a lot of the stuff with the stuff that Puffy made her do and the violence and all that stuff, I'm not saying that is okay. And I'm not saying that I agree with it, as far as the assault and all those different things there. But when she settled outside the case for 30 million or whatever it was, none of that should be brought up in this case whatsoever because that's undisclosed. That's part of the deal when you settle outside of court. You're not supposed to talk about the things that pertaining to the case that you settled on. So that was like the first, what's really going on here to me? And to Nate's point earlier, I definitely see a scenario if he doesn't just get off on the RICO charges alone. I could definitely see a situation where Donald Trump would actually pardon him. You know what I mean? Because he's going to try to pander to black people, although he can't run again. None of those different things there. It's just another one to make us look good. Almost like the situation last week with Larry Hoover, him pardoning Larry Hoover. And I kept seeing and I had to get off. That's another thing that I really loved about this little break because I stayed all the time I was gone. I stayed off social media. Y'all didn't see me really posting anything or commenting on anything because it's like sometimes it just gets so aggravating reading the same things over and over again, and everybody has an opinion and everybody has their thoughts or what have you, and which we all entitled to. But it was like, oh yeah, you see, he let Larry Hoover out, right? Yeah, especially us. I don't want to use the word uneducated, but the people that just us emotional people that see something and just run with it. It's like, yeah, he pardoned Larry Hoover, but Larry Hoover is not getting out of jail. Okay, he pardoned Larry Hoover on the federal side. Larry Hoover still owed the state of Illinois 300 years. That's something totally different. It's like not like when you hear the word, there's a sense of admitting guilt, settle out of court. Absolutely. and that's also the other thing that makes him look bad because people always say, well, why, and I don't necessarily agree with that either. I'm talking about me personally with that mindset, like, well, if that's almost like somebody. All right, so me and Aunt, we first cousins. Me and Tone, we first cousins. It's like if somebody lie on me and it gets out to everybody that outside of that know me. As long as like my immediate family and my immediate circle, my friends understand and know that that's a lie, I'm not that type of person that say, you know what, nah, man, I ain't did nothing wrong. I got to go out here and prove myself right because I don't even like the way they lie. As long as the people that know that is a lie and it's not the truth, I'm good with that. I don't really care what the outside world, not the outside noise. I don't care what they think. I don't have to prove anything to them. I don't know anything. I don't have to prove anything to anybody. But why do I really care about the opinion of other people that I don't even know? You know what I mean? That's just my mindset. But I do know a lot of people that's like, nah, man, if you ain't guilty, you're going to fight that. You know what I mean? You're going to do this, you're going to do that there. And there's no right or wrong. But it does, it doesn't mean that you're guilty, but it definitely makes you look guilty. Mike Tyson always talked about that with all his different circumstances over the years back in the day. Mike said he spent probably more money settling outside of court than people actually made in their boxing careers because he just didn't want to go through the hassle. It wasn't that he was necessarily guilty. They seen him as a target. He had all this money, especially knowing that he would settle out of court half the time. Oh yeah, Mike Tyson did this to me. Mike Tyson punched me in my face. Mike Tyson stole my car. Mike Tyson stole my chain, whatever the case may be. Mike said, hey, it go $150,000. Just leave me alone. I ain't got time to be paying lawyers. I ain't got time to be going to court, all these different things. So that's his right as an individual. I'm just not like that. We're going to take it to the grave. I mean, we're going to fight it out. If it comes to that when I got to come up off some pockets. But at this level, I ain't got no money to lose. So I definitely ain't trying to justify myself or clear my name for nobody when there ain't no money involved. Now, if I'm losing money behind it and is affecting the way that I make money or make my living, then yeah, I might have a different approach. But right now, it is not doing any of that. So, like I said, there's no right or wrong there, but everybody has a different outtake or outlook on that. So I'm like I said, I'm interested to see how it goes. I was even looking at, so then it was like racketeering, sex trafficking, because I was trying to figure out all these different charges, all these different levels of charges. What does Kid Cudi have to do with any of this? Like, what category would that fall under? Yeah, and Kid, I seen a lot of that. I was definitely paying a lot of attention to a lot of his. That's also called the Alfred Pre. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And I mean, Jew. Yeah, it's like I understand that it was a violation, but what part of the RICO would that fall under? In terms of Kid Cudi, and I was kind of like when I was in Jersey, I was kind of following that in real time. I wanted to see like every 10, I was refreshing every 10, 15 minutes while Cudi was testifying for the people that were coming out, reporting back to us on TikTok and different things of that nature there. But it was like, he talked about how he wasn't scared of Puff. Like, yo, one, he didn't know that Puff and Cassie was still in a relationship. He thought it was done with them, what have you. So she called him about being in some trouble, what have you. And no, he said that she called him and was like, yo, Puff found out about us. And he was like, what do you mean he found out about us? I thought y'all was done. So now you got me caught up in something where you were lying to me. So now I'm a victim as well because I didn't even know that you was still in a relationship with this dude. If I'm Kid Cudi, if I'm in the same position. So now I'm gonna be feeling some type of way about that. You got me involved with this knucklehead that's crazy and it ain't got nothing to do with me. I didn't even know I was a part of this scenario. So, then he said he got the phone call from one of his inside friends that was mutual friends, like, yo, that was working for Puff. Like, yo, he's at your house right now. And he talked about how, he go in there, Christmas presents that he had wrapped up, wasn't wrapped up. He called Puff after the person told him that Puff was at his house and was like, yo, are you in my crib? Yo, are you at my crib? And Puff said, whatever, not admitting it or not denying it. He's like, yo, is you at my crib? I'm on my way there now. Like, by the time he got there, Puff and them had left already, whatever the case may be. But to blow this man's car up, that's a violation too. But what proof do we have of that? They said that they didn't have the camera footage. Whoever broke into the house had to readjusted the cameras or whatever. So we don't have no. So again, this is hearsay. You know what I mean? So like, I don't know how much they can hold this against him, so to speak. Drew said to me, they're making the case more about her. They ain't talking about Diddy getting people high and taking their behinds. And that's my point. And all right, so everybody know I've always been obsessed with the OJ trial. So I still watch the OJ trial. Um, time to time. Anything that they put out something new on OJ. Sometimes I just go back and rewatch the ones. OJ Manhunt, this is series on OJ, all that did. I was just fascinated with that whole trial. But it's like, in terms of this, like Drew said, watching this play out is like, oh, well, how long are we gonna get to the meat on the bone before how long y'all gonna be setting all of this up? Because like Drew said, to Drew's point, I feel like everything is more or less about her so far, and less about Diddy and what he's being actually charged with. So it's kind of interesting to see how they go, but I wish they would come on, kind of speed us along and get to the whole sex trafficking, how he was kidnapping people, how he was supposedly drugging people and things of that nature there. Because just because you go to a party, and we were having that discussion around the way too. Ms. Maddow said, Julia, true, but they have to give testimony about that. They don't want to tell that. Absolutely. And that's a whole nother part. I seen Bill Maher come under fire a lot this previous week for his little outtake on Cassie. And he was saying, like, it's one thing if you don't come forward right away, but you can't be waiting decades. You can't be waiting all this time later. And I really didn't want to get into this, but since I'm here already, I'm gonna do it. But it's like, let me start off by prefacing. In no way, shape, fashion, form do I condone any any woman being violated, any woman being sexually assaulted, things of that nature there. I was having this conversation literally Memorial Day. And someone was talking about when you party and when you in these different kind of parties and house parties and these different kind of atmospheres and people you're in these different atmospheres with all these different people, and you got alcohol, you got drugs, you got this, you got that going on. How do you not get caught up in that? How do you even know? You know what I mean? I'm like, well, see where I'm from, we're a little bit different. Like, take for example, if we talking about smoking, we talking about smoking the green, we talking about smoking the leaf. One of the things that my friends taught me early in the game when I was still partaking like that, it's like, yo, you don't hit nothing that you didn't see rolled up, because you don't know what other people do. We've all heard the story about how DMX got on the drugs that he was on. You know what I mean? Because when he was 15, somebody said hit this, he didn't even know that it was laced. You know what I mean? So you got to be careful. You can't trust all these people. You know what I mean? Some people that might become fiends, they don't want to be, like they say, misery loves company. They might want to see you get hooked on drugs too, just because they got hooked, and they might not tell you what's in there. So I don't believe in all that. Hey, you want to hit this? Nah, I'm good, bro. You know what I mean? Because if it's anything, I got my own. Why I got to be sharing with you and things of that nature there. So I can't even speak from that aspect, because I would never put myself in that position, me personally. You know what I mean? So, but to his point, it's like some people do that. That's why I have problems with it. Because I was saying you can't give Bill Cosby a pass. My man was like, why not? Why not? Bill, he old and this don't matter. When you're drugging people to where they can't remember things on purpose and they are not aware of it, it's one thing if we're doing drugs together and we all aware of what kind of drugs we're taking. But when you're slipping me some different kind, that's a whole different kind of violation. And that goes whether you're a man, woman, anything. You know what I mean? When you're taking advantage of people from that aspect, I can't get with that. Let's see. Go back up. And said, but why have Biggie album release party on the West Coast when East and West beef? True. There's too many big players involved. Absolutely, Drew. That's why that's not gonna come up. I don't think it's Miss Magnificent said, I don't think especially men are going to tell about sexual assault at those parties. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Because I was even watching this back and forth yesterday. Did you guys see the same thing with Suge Knight and Ray J going back and forth? When Suge Knight was doing his thing, because he was saying that he don't think that Puffy should go to jail for being a freak. And it was never no secret when it came to Puff. When Puff came in the industry, everybody knew that Puff was sleeping with men and women. He said it wasn't no secret, but he started talking about how him and Ray J were supposedly lovers, allegedly. And Ray J, what up, nah, man? I got the gay community with me and what have you, the LGBT community, and no, I ain't like that. You know what I mean? Because I would be violating all. He went on this whole thing, then tried to say Suge was doing the same thing, all that back and forth. But to your point, to both of you guys' point, a lot of the men are not going to come clean with this. Julie said the man violated too many women and men. I do believe some took part though, and I believe he violated some. What's good, D? Mr. Jackson said that's the way pushers push. Couldn't have said it better myself. The women will tell, but not too many men unless they want to get restitution for it. Juice said I would have been in jail because I'm not getting with the get down. Nope. Yeah, absolutely, yo. I was say if I'm knock on wood, but if a man rape me, he gonna be raping a dead body. If he sexually assault me, he gonna be doing it to a dead body because ain't no way in the world, ain't that kind of money, none of that. You know what I'm saying? No, we not playing that. But the point that I was making was, like I said, I don't want to get in this too. I'm not saying that Puffy's innocent, but let's not act like everybody's a victim. Everybody is not a victim because you got some people, and I won't even go to that status. So we already know what it is with Casey, or Cassie, whatever, however you say her name. I know people that work regular jobs, right? And that's not no knocking nobody. I ain't saying no names, stuff like that there. I know people that work women that work regular jobs. There's probably some men too. I just don't know of any men personally. But I know many women right now, if you're a single mother and you have a house, you have 3 children that you're raising by yourself, you have no kind of income whatsoever coming in except for your sole income, your job, your occupation. There are women right now, whether they admit it or not, there are a lot of women that if this job is offering her $60,000 a year, whatever the case may be, say, listen, that man, that officer got offer the the supervisor that's the employment person that's offering her employment says, listen, I want you to come over here and I want you to show me what that mouth did. And all you gonna get this here in return. There are some regular women. I'm not talking about celebrities. There are some women like, well, shoot, I gotta keep a roof over my children's head. I gotta put food on the table, and they willing to do that. So, what do you think that a woman is not willing to do to get flown on private jets, to get a music career, to become the next star? You selling her a dream. What you don't think about the yachts, the boats, and everything else. Of course, some of them are victims, and my heart goes out to all the victims because no woman should be violated. That's one of those things that's near and dear to my heart. And it seems like every woman, or I won't say every woman, but 80% of women from the time that they were little girls to the time that they were adult women were violated in some shape, fashion, or form just for the simple fact that they're a woman. And I think that that's absolutely wrong. I think that is absolutely absurd. And I don't condone that under no circumstances. So my heart really goes out to the victim. But some of them people is like, yo, if that's what I got to do to get up, men included, all I got to do is this here, and I'm going to become the next movie star. They talk about it all the time, and they don't like it. But a lot of the black market, or some of the mainstream podcasts, whatever, they always talk about how it's been like that in hip hop for years. A lot of these dudes like, yo, everybody talking about it now. As much as Big is my favorite rapper, but everybody talking about now how in the Juicy video, the transvestite, and everybody knew that she was a transvestite. Same young lady, she was in LL Cool J's video, the remix with all of them there. Is a scene in the Big video where she's in the men's bathroom using the urinal, and Big trying to talk to her while Busta Rhymes is talking to her. Another name, you got these different names that keep coming up, and not to say that they're not talented with whatsoever, but did you do something? And people, like they say, they do that. A lot of times what they do is they get you like Puff had all these different videos, whether it be congressmen, whether it be governors. He got all this blackmail stuff, all this evidence against you, because if you ever try to out me, okay, I'm gonna bring this to light. I'm gonna show this tape. I'm gonna show this tape, So a lot of them, they willing to do that, and they just taking a gamble, so to speak, on that. It never comes out, but it doesn't negate the fact that you actually did it. Like I said, there's been so many people that has turned Diddy down because they knew that life wasn't for them. I know Walter Hawkins' son did not want to work with Diddy in that R&B field and turned him down. That was a wise choice. Absolutely. I have an uncle that was in the club business um, for years and years in New York City. He had a pretty good club in New York, and it was prominent, whenever, what have you. But outside of that, and I ain't gonna tell all his business, but there was a lot of people in the business world, in the music industry, in the business world, different things where he could have been going to different parties, but certain people, he said, just rubbed him the wrong way. He didn't want to take any parts of that. Didn't want to do that kind of business with any of these people. And those people went off to come and do this here and that there, but he sleeps with a good conscience that night because he said no. So everybody doesn't sell out for the money, but we can't act like everybody's a victim either, because you got some people that's willing to play along. You play ball to get along. So got to be real careful on how we look at it. But like I say, am I going as far as to say Diddy's innocent? Absolutely not. I just don't know that he's guilty of what it is that they're accusing him with. And it almost feels almost like OJ. Back to OJ. It's like, well, since you beat us at murder, we're gonna get you back because you still owe us time. We feel like you got over. Even though you played our game and you went about it the right way and you won your case on murder charges, well, we're gonna get you back for stealing your own stuff. Even though everybody in that room with OJ, that was always comical to me. Everybody in the room, I think it was like six or seven people in the room. 5 of them had hidden cameras. 4 of them had guns. Everybody in the room had something on them except for OJ. OJ. And I'm going back to not even still, I'm going back to take back my belongings that somebody stole from me. And they gave this man 9 years for that. I think a lot of it was because he got off on the first try, So we could be saying some of that too. You know what I mean? We're gonna crucify you because you can't deny the tape, even though we can't bring it up in this court in this trial here. Everybody done seen the tape, so he's already halfway guilty. So it's just a slippery slope. But I really want to see how things play out. I can't wait that they just actually get good. And another thing, even in the day and age that we living in, I don't understand why they don't allow the cameras and video in the courtroom. Like, that's crazy in 2025 that we can't actually see what's going on, because when it's like that, you also don't know what it is that you could believe. You know what I mean? I've been seeing some people talking about R. Kelly was called as a witness, and this one here is called as a. I'm like, yo, those people, y'all believe anything that you see on TikTok. You don't have to fact check TikTok or anything else. A lot of these people are just clickbaiting you. R. Kelly is locked up in a whole different state. He is not there at that trial. He is not called as no surprise witness and all this other kind of stuff. So, you got to be careful out there. But I think cameras in the courtroom would alleviate a lot of that. You know what I mean? Because you really don't know what it is to believe now, because you're taking secondhand information for, at this point. And I said the same thing, even all this time leading up to the trial. I'm like, I ain't never seen no pictures of Puff actually in a jail cell. So do I really know that he's locked up at this facility that they talking about? Or is that just what they telling us and we supposed to run with that? So it's kind of crazy to me. Ann said Epstein list never released big wigs. Absolutely. And you see when it was coming closer and closer, he supposedly killed himself. Now I believe the same thing. I can't even go too far. It's just me personally. He called me crazy. I don't know. I've been called worse, but I don't know that he unalived himself. I don't know that he unalived himself, and as much money he's had, I'm not sure if he's over in some island on the other side of the whole wide world where they told me you could never come back here again. We don't know. That's the whole thing. We don't know, and it's hard the world that we're living in now with so much going on. It's hard to believe anything unless you're actually there, So it's a slippery slope. What else happened? I already talked about the Larry Hoover. Again, people, I'm glad that he got pardoned. But he's not getting out of jail. For those, sorry to disappoint you guys, he's not getting out of jail. All right, so I did want to break that down too, because I do know somebody that works in the legal field, and I was talking having this conversation over the last couple of weeks. So it was a case where you had this someone that abuses little children. I got to read it. It's been so while. I got to go back and look at the words that I can say and what I can't say on these lives or whatnot. But y'all know, y'all able to follow me. I'm a person that was messing with these little children, and they got sentenced to life without the possibility of parole. And they done maybe, I think, 15, 20 years so far, or what have you. And it's coming up now where they go before the board and they're trying to get that reduced to 99 years. Still no parole, but 99 years. And people are like, well, what's the big difference? You get 99 years, that's the whole thing. But if you talk to anybody that's in the, that's a lawyer or in that field, the judicial field, or even in the corrections facility field, things of that nature there, what it is when you have certain sentences, there are certain places that you can't go. There are certain jobs that you can't have within the prison system. That's one of the reasons that you see a lot of these people, these in these supermax prisons, they on 23 hours a day lockdown, where they can't interact with the other social, they can't interact in gym pop. They don't get to go to see other inmates. They're in their surroundings 24/7 alone with their thoughts, and that's enough to drive anybody crazy. So even if you know that you don't get out of jail, if you could get an opportunity to get out of that situation from driving yourself crazy or going mad, of course you want to be around other people. You want to be able to work in the kitchen or be able to be on mop duty and different things of that nature there. But in order for that to happen, you would have to get your sentence reclassified, so to speak. So when we hear these different words about pardon and they fighting it and whatnot, it's not always about trying to get out of jail, but sometimes it puts you in a different category. And it was like, you know what? Okay, now that makes sense. Now I see why they would do that, because if I could go from 23 hours a day to being able to be in gym pop and be around other people, even if I know I can give it's something that's beneficial to my sanity. Just actually being around other people, being able to go outside and see some fresh air, whether it's raining or not, as opposed to being in this cubicle 23 hours a day. So I definitely get how people will be fighting that, and I think that that's more or less what it is with the Larry Hoover situation. By Trump pardoning him, he no longer has to be in the super max out there in Colorado on 23 hours a day lockdown. They could transfer him to someplace different, in whether it be Illinois or different throughout the country. But he'll be able to be in gym pop and be a part of the. It don't mean that he's ever going to get out of jail, but nobody wants to be secluded. That alone. I always joke and I always tell people, I'm very comfortable with myself and I love my own company. I have no problem with taking myself on dates, going to movies by myself, getting something to eat, go for rides by myself. I don't want to be by myself that much. Like that would drive any person madly insane. So I just wanted to break that down for those that don't understand how that works. But yeah, there's a different as far as the classifications about where you could go into prison. Because some of those people, like in the Supermax, you can't go to service, you can't go to like a lot of these jails, they have services and whatnot, church services in the jail. You can't work as a cafeteria, you can't work in the laundry room, you can't do this here based on what your sentence is. So I definitely I had a better understanding of that after talking to some people that's in that particular field. So I get it. Who else? What else? Larry Hoover, we talked about the Knicks. So what's going on with this? Well, actually, it was two, which I was definitely not a fan of, because when I first left North Carolina, I got to DC. I had just seen that day that they had a young man had killed the two analysts in the name of Israel, and if I'm not mistaken, that had something to do with the Boulder, Colorado situation, as far as the attack in Boulder, this Israel Palestine thing. Like this stuff is getting crazy, y'all. I don't know how. I don't really have a lot of information on that. I was just actually watching something before I went live. I'm trying to get a little bit more information, but I might talk about that next week or a little bit after. But I just think it's sad, that we get into this point where, the whole Palestine and I get it, especially Christians, we want to talk about, you know, Israel is the children of God and this things nature here. But I don't care whether you're Christian, whether you're Muslim, any of that. At the end of the day, I'm never a fan of the aggressor. You feel what I'm saying? When you take into consideration, when you study it and you find out exactly what's going on, and a lot of us we don't. We just looking at these little 2 minute pieces on CNN or what have you. But if you ever take time out to look and see what's really going on in this whole Palestine Israel conflict, Israel is wrong. I don't care how you size it up. Israel is wrong, yo. To go in here and tell these people, you got to pack everything up. We taking this land from you. We're going to do this. Same thing with Ukraine and Russia. You know what I mean? I'm never going to side with the aggressor. You know, these people, these Palestinians have been over here for all these years, built their own communities, ain't been bothering nobody, going back and forth. Of course, I'm not, if we have a regular fight, I'm not going to just let you keep on punching me in my face, but I'm gonna defend myself. And Israel, in my opinion, is definitely aggressive in this. So I just think that is unfortunate that is bleeding over here to where we're actually seeing these people trying to protest and whatnot, and people are literally losing their lives. That was a young couple that was about to get married. Those people were young in D.C. The people that were a part of it in Colorado, it's just sad and unfortunate. And I think I'll just pray that we really do a better job with that, and just like I don't know. I don't know. But war is never the answer, in my opinion. I understand that we got a need for military, things of that nature there, but war is never the answer because my problem has always been with war, whether you consider it justified or unjustifiable. We know that anytime there's war, there's always going to be casualties of war. You know what I mean? It's never an isolated incident where we're going in there, we're getting this same one. You know, growing up in North, that was the one thing that bothered us all about drive-bys. We got tired of seeing these little girls and these little children get caught in the crossfires because you can't shoot. You want to go over there and get this person. Now a little child has lost their life because you just want to go straight up the whole block. I would never ever condone that or understand that logic, and I don't want to understand it. I just feel like it needs to stop, and that's the problem with war. Um, is that you're always gonna have casualties of war. It's never gonna just be an isolated incident. You know, you see all these different hospitals, all these different old folk homes over there in Ukraine and in Palestine that are being attacked. Little kids coming out. I watched a lot of Al Jazeera news, and you're seeing older people carrying newborn babies crying, body parts missing, flesh wide open, and these are little kids. No kid should have to endure that. And I mean, and what are you guys really doing this about? Doing this over at the end of the day, it makes no sense. So let's just really get on our knees and pray, pause, and just really cry out on behalf of those people because so many times it's hard for us to be emotionally connected with something that we're not familiar with or that doesn't affect us immediately. But that's one reason I'm always praying for inmates. I don't have to know people that's locked up. I know that they have souls too that need to be won. So it's important for us to remember in our personal prayer time. It's important for us to remember, the military, victims of war, the homeless, prisoners. These are still people. These are people that still have souls. They're still people. So just because we don't know them personally doesn't mean that we shouldn't have a heart for them. All the little girl, I believe it was India, one of these places that I was watching a documentary on a couple of years ago, but it was talking about just the injustice of how they take these little girls and they cut off their genitals when they're like 11 years old. That's just the custom. It's like it's crazy what people get adapted to when they're fighting for it. Even one of them, I think the same one it might have been. They were talking about how when the movie Frozen came out, they wouldn't even show it in that part of the world because they don't support women having their own voice and different things of that nature. It's different cultures, and people grow up with this kind of stuff here. You got countries that still have arranged marriages. You know what I mean? And truth be told, you got a lot of arranged marriages here. We talk about the 1%ers and everything else, but that's a whole different conversation for another time. But just because it doesn't affect us or our everyday life, doesn't mean that we shouldn't have a heart or compassion for those different things. So let's just be mindful of that in our own personal prayer time. Y'all, excuse me. What else? I think that was about it. No, both. Oh, what's up with the? I've been traveling, so what's up with this? I seen that it was 10 prisoners that have supposedly escaped from a jail in New Orleans. I think it was Angola. And they said they recaptured 8 of them. Anybody got any details on that? They said it was 8 of them, and 2 of them were still at large. And actually, I was literally just watching about 30 minutes ago, right before I came on, with one guy, Massey. He's supposed to be one of the ones. He's like, I didn't break out of jail. they let me, he said they let him leave. He doing TikTok and Instagram live and showing the paperwork where he didn't break out and all this other kind of stuff. And you got the Fed saying, it's in your best interest to turn yourself in. Justice must be served or whatever. It's like, man, this world is so comical right now. It is so comical and so much going on. But I didn't get a chance to do a lot of research on that either. But I was wondering if any of you guys were familiar with what was going on with that situation, or what have you. But that was pretty much it. You guys ain't have anything for me, did you? I think I covered everything I was planning on covering. But just know that I missed you all. Next week we will be back next week. And for those that don't know, those that haven't been following like that, you got people beating on who would make it to the end. What you mean, Joe? Did you mean beating or betting? But yeah, I want you all to be. Please tune in next week. Please tune in next week. Might have a few treats for you guys. I might have a few announcements. But next week, June the 10th. Thanks, Miss Magnificent. Next week, June the 10th, will be our 5-year anniversary. 5 years of the Marvin Bennett Jr. Show. I can't believe that you guys have been rocking with me that long. I appreciate each and every one of you. It's been a joy and a privilege. I've met so many different people through the show. I've formed different new relationships and friendships with people through the show. People reaching out to me that were from the YouTube world, from Facebook, saying, "Oh man, I really like your content. You're funny, this and that." There, I met different people that really talk to me about how the different shows and the vast different topics that we've covered over the last 5 years has really blessed them and it means so much to them. Awesome, have a magnificent night on purpose. Absolutely, as we always do. Love you, girl. But yeah, I'm really excited about that. I almost feel like a kid getting ready for prom again because I can't believe I always, those that have been following us, you guys know that I always felt that this was it started out as kind of like a joke where I just made a post saying, man, if I really did a show, would you guys tune in or what have you, the case may be? That's how it all started. And people, it was like a positive outpouring of, yeah, man, yeah, you got the perfect personality for this, the perfect takes and different things of that nature there. You have no problem with being wrong. You're going to voice your opinion. Nothing is off limits. So we started it. The very first show was the day of George Floyd's homegoing service. And we've been rocking next Tuesday night will be 5 years. The very first show was on June 9th, 2020. And the 5-year anniversary will be on June 10th, 2025. So I'm really excited about that. I'm really looking forward to it. I want to thank each and every one of you, all my former guests, all the contributors, everybody that's been supporting the show over the course of this last 5 years. You said I meant they was betting on which prisoner will be picked up last. Yeah, because I did see something where you had different CEOs that was supposedly helping them, people on the inside, people on the outside. It was like a whole network. So I'm waiting to see how that plays out as well because it's crazy. But yeah, man, I want to thank all you guys for tuning in. Tell your friends about next week. And for those that are watching live or that are watching throughout the week, or whatever, I need you guys to do me a favor if you would be so kind. Excuse me. If you can, do me a little 30-second, a minute celebratory video, or those that don't like to be on camera, don't want to be on camera, don't like to be seen. Please DM me saying congratulations or whatever you want to say, so I can read it on the show next week. But I'm looking forward to that. Just having a good time with you guys. Like I said, there'll be some announcements coming as far as what we plan on doing in the future. Um, and I really appreciate you guys. I don't take you guys for granted. I don't take these Tuesday nights for granted. I really appreciate you, all the support that you guys have been showing me, and I want us to all grow together. I'm always promoting everything that everybody else does. So business owners that's out there that are watching and you want to come on the show and promote your show, I don't charge anybody, none of that kind of stuff there. Whatever you want to bless me with or bless the show with, that's up to you. If you choose to do so, if not, ain't no love lost. I'm gonna still push you because I want to see everybody win, everybody grow together. And I always tell people, and I've been saying that, and I've been holding true to it since the beginning of the show. Anything that you give or any donation that you make to the Marvin Bennett Jr. show, that is not going to me personally. That is going for the lighting. That's going for the subscription to be able to feed to you, whether it's through Zoom, whether it's through StreamYard, whether it's through the laptops, microphones. I still haven't got the microphones and stuff that I want. So know that anything that you contribute to the show, is going back to the show. It's not going for me. I'm not going to eat restaurants or different things of that nature there with the contributions that are given. So know that and know that I stand on that. I'm a man of my word, especially when it comes to things of that nature there. My integrity is everything. But with that being said, I hope that everybody has a wonderful week. Like I said, we got the next week's show. We're going to maybe do some things about fatherhood as well, because the following Sunday will be Father's Day. So just come on back next week. Tell all your friends, tell all your family you got time to get in. Get those videos to me as soon as possible if you can, if you will be so kind. And I do appreciate it. But I know that I really love all you guys from the bottom of my heart. And I thank you guys for taking out the time to spend this time with me. Words can't express my gratitude. Again, shout out to my boy Walt, who celebrated his 50th. That was an awesome time. And everybody else that's celebrating milestones, whether it be at work, whether it be your born days or different things in that nature there, anniversaries. I've seen a couple of anniversaries this week as well. Hats off to you guys. Shout out to Torrance and Wendy, for my ramp days at the airport, or they celebrate their 25th anniversary. There's so many, man. I appreciate you guys. With that being said, I'm out of here. I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your week. Hope you guys enjoy the rest of your time with your family. And I'll see you. I look forward to seeing you all next Tuesday. And as usual, I'm signing off. DeAndre and Lisha, know that Daddy loves you intentionally, but I also love you unconditionally. Till next week, peace.